On this episode, we're joining Robin and Christine in Chryslerville. Robin and Christine took a trip to Kreischer Mansion and the nearby Killmeyer's Old Bavarian Inn.
So we're here on the porch of the Kreischer Mansion, and it's amazing how old this one building is and how historic.
Well, he bought it and built two mansions on this in 1855 alongside his manufacturing plant for the actual bricks.
Balthasar Kreischer emigrated here from Germany. And although they say that the mansion is in Victorian Americana, to me it looks like it's Bavarian, and that would make more sense.
You can see all the inlays and the color scheme.
Right.
These are all things that you would see in Bavaria if you were there.
Right, and if he came from Germany, it would make sense that he tried to create something grand that would be in a style of architecture that he knew.
Correct.
So
I agree.
He actually had a brick manufacturing plant that he built on this very property, which right now only sits to be an acre. But I know it had to be larger because he sold Killmeyer his very historic piece of property, which I know we're visiting later, but it shows you that the size and the scope of this.
Well, people don't understand, clay pit ponds we've always heard of, we've always seen. That was clay pits where they used that clay to make the bricks. So it had to go all the way down to the clay pits.
And all of his bricks, he wrote the name Kreischer on. So you can distinctly see where and what were Kreischer bricks.
The Kreischer Mansion is more than just a part of Staten Island's history. For those who believe in the supernatural, it's a sign that some places have a life of their own.
So Balthasar died in the house, and his son later shot himself in the house. And supposedly, both of them are still here. If you come by at night, one of the windows, they say they can see someone looking out. You don't know? Maybe we'll try that. Or maybe not.
Well, I'm going to tell you that we've been here for, about a half an hour now.
Don't believe what she says.
And that bench was completely still at one point, and it's kind of lightly shaking, but we saw it really shake as if somebody was getting up off of the bench, and it was like repositioning itself.
And Robin jumped in front of me.
To save her life. Her and I are great friends.
Either that or I pushed her there. We're not sure which one, but
yeah.
We can rewrite it a little bit.
But what's really interesting here is in the theme of the scary and the haunted, they have a haunted house that they turn this into every Halloween, that all of the guests can experience the Kreischer Mansion. And
they also have a haunted hayride through the property, which
I'm sure is very scary too.
Yeah, I'm not sure I want to do it.
I don't want to do it. No, definitely not. But again, very historic, really amazing. And you'd probably drive by it every day and you don't know what is here. You're like, oh, there's an old house. But when you really hear about the history and start to understand it, I'm so excited about Staten Island and what it was and what it is today.
It's cool when you hear about these things, and some of the things like this that they're trying to bring into and use now,
right,
but still maintain the history and the historic feel of it. I think that's the coolest part.
Absolutely. So before that swing starts to swing again, I'd say let's go check out the bricks at Killmeyer's and see the biggest Hummel that exists in the whole world, and see the actual bricks that have the Kreischer family insignia on it.
Nicholas Killmeyer's purchased the land and the building that would eventually become a Staten Island landmark, a centerpiece of what used to be known as Kreischerville. Killmeyer's is famous for its authentic German food and the go-to place for anyone craving for schnitzel, goulash, or a variety of brats and kielbasa. And the famous beer garden celebrations of Oktoberfest are legendary.
We're here at Killmeyer's Old Bavarian Inn. For those of you that are not familiar, awesome German food, but do you know the history? We touched on it when we were at the Kreischer Mansion and the property there, but this particular location dates back to 1855, and the bricks that were laid here were the actual bricks that were made in the Kreischer factory that produced all of the bricks there and here. And this is part of Kreischerville. And when we're at the mansion and you see the view spanning the location, you see how large Kreischerville really was.
This is actually the oldest pub on Staten Island, and it was made to be an inn and a place for people who are working at the factory to be able to stay.
Now, the bar is a mahogany bar in here. It dates back to 1890.
The Killmeyer family eventually expanded the original building and made the upstairs a hotel. After Old Cap Simonson bought the building in 1945, it became known as Rube's. Later in the 1950s, when the building was heading for its 100th birthday, Cap renamed it the Century Inn. Today, the building is owned by Ken Triato, who purchased it in 1995 and restored it before christening it Killmeyer's Old Bavarian Inn. But one of the first things people notice about the building is the 8-foot Hummel statue that greets passersby. From Mercer County, New Jersey in 2014 after the German porcelain manufacturer Hummel went bankrupt. The Merry Wanderer was born in 1976 by sculptor Gerhard Skrobeck and moved first to the company's Garden State headquarters in Pennington, New Jersey in 2003.
Because these bricks are, and you see they walk the whole walkway here. These bricks really are, you can see they're all stamped with the Chrysler stamp, and they are, that's the history of the Staten Island right there. This is what they made, the Chrysler made bricks.
Right, they were German brick manufacturers. Hence the German theme of the restaurant and the surrounding area that was once here in the 1800s and early 1900s. So we're here, obviously, in front of Killmeyer's, but we would be remiss if we didn't bring up Oktoberfest that the Rotary does every year, because we're talking German theme.
So
and
if
I
you
know
want-
that you run that, so I think it's a good commercial.
So
right
do you
now.
know what Oktoberfest is?
I do.
We're the last weekend in September, and the reason why Oktoberfest is there is to finish out all of the beer that is in the barrels, because and they do it September so that October they can refill all the barrels.
So
and
it's
make
really
new
a
beer.
helpful
Yes.
thing in Germany to assist.
You're correct.
Empty the barrels for fresh beer.
Right. So, if you want to help us celebrate Oktoberfest, it's always the last weekend in September. We do it at the Boy Scout Pouch Camp. We do it with the 5 Rotary Clubs and Rolling Thunder, and all of our proceeds go to the veterans on Staten Island.
And Northfield Bank is a sponsor, and it really is an awesome event. You can't imagine how many people are there, and the size of the venue is incredible.
And if you come, Northfield is sponsoring the beer. Salmon Real Estate sponsors the beer tent, the beer hall, I should say. So come and visit us. We'll be there.
Absolutely. So, talking about the German theme, everybody should come out to Killmeyer's, take a look at the history, and support a wonderful nonprofit that helps the veterans of Staten Island.
Thank you for watching the show. And if you'd like to see more, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel to see the entire unedited version, which is usually a lot of fun.
I was going to say, it's actually very funny. Yes.
Come see what we say when we're not scripted.
Balthazar died in the mansion. Years later, on June 8, 1894, Kreischer's son, Edward, committed suicide by shooting himself in the temple near the factory. Since the incident, there have been many stories and legends that the property is haunted.